Our mind is the control tower of our life. Whatever happens in our life starts right here. All of our decisions are there. And the truth is, whatever we are today is the result of what we've been thinking about all those years. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if you don't like what's going on around you, maybe you should ask yourself the question, what am I thinking about? What do I think about myself? What do I think about other people? Because what we think about is really what controls us. For example, our relationship to each other, our sense of direction in life, whatever we accomplish, our failures in life, all of that is a result of the way we think. And oftentimes we forget that this is the control tower, that everything else is a result of how we think. And we can't control everybody else in control of all of our circumstances, but we are going to respond to circumstances in one way or the other. And so when I think about how this affects us, I think about the fact that many people are where they are because of wrong thinking. And so they don't like where they are. Other folks are where they are because of right thinking, because they've been thinking the right way. What you have to ask is this: what is it that determines what I think? This mind of yours controls everything else in your life. You say, well, what about all the other parts of my life? We respond to the way we think. And so if we think right, we're going to have one response. We think wrongly, we're going to have another. Very important that we understand how that works. So this requires me to understand how to control my thoughts. If I want to think right, if I want to think godly, if I want to think holy, if I want to think righteously, right here's where it starts. And many people lose it right here. They don't think right. They don't think godly. They don't think like they're worth anything. And they say, well, you know, I just never had the opportunity, or I just never will be that, or I'm just this and I'm not that. This is why people who are very beautiful can think they're ugly. And people who are very skinny can think they're fat. And they refuse to eat because they think, they look in the mirror and they don't see what's reality. And so your mind controls every aspect of your life. In fact, what you think determines how you live. What you think determines how your relationship to God, as we said, your relationship to others, your relationship to yourself. And many people start out in life defeated because of the influence of their parents, their grandparents, that tell them they'll never amount to anything, or this is wrong with them, or that's wrong with them. And as a result, they go through life, what? Having heard, written in their minds, impressed in their thinking, if my mama said it, my daddy said it, or my grandmother said it, it must be true, therefore. And oftentimes people are ruined as a result of what they have been taught, or what they have been or what they've heard from someone that they value very highly. Rejection is probably the most painful of all the emotions. And the truth is, all of us have been rejected either by somebody or some group or something at some point in life. And so the question is, how did you respond? And if I should ask you, well, did that rejection bother you? Do you ever think about it? No, it doesn't bother me. I never think about it much. But let me just correct that. It does bother you. Until a person recognizes the presence of rejection in their life and discovers the source of it and deals with it, it will bother you all of your life. Let's just think for a moment and clarify what we mean by rejection. And the truth is, if somebody rejects something, that means they refuse it. If you come to me and say, I'd like to be your friend, and I reject you, what I'm saying is, I don't want to be your friend. I refuse your offer of friendship. And what does that do? That causes the other person to feel less respect for themselves, less worthy of themselves, and to begin to be self-critical for the simple reason, why wouldn't somebody want to be my friend? And so there's some basic things that are very basic when it comes to that. And what it does, it sends a message. In other words, rejection isn't just a feeling, it sends a message. When you reject somebody, you send them a strong message going straight to the core of their heart. You're not worthy, you're not fit, you don't belong, I don't want you, you don't fit into this situation. And anytime anybody feels that, especially if it's from somebody that's very precious to them or very important to them, it's devastating. If you don't feel rejected, if you're not careful, you'll reject somebody else. But more than likely, all of us at some point have been. And what I want to show you is this. Just because you think you have forgotten it doesn't mean that you don't still have it. The question is, what do you do with it? How do you handle it? And there are lots of ways people handle rejection that doesn't free them of it. What I want to talk about is how you get free of it. There is a way to overcome that, no matter what it is. There are three feelings that are absolutely essential to a healthy self-attitude and your own personal view of yourself, your self-respect and everything else. These three attitudes are a sense of belonging. I belong. It's very important to be a part of. I'm a part of. The second one is I'm worthy. That is, you know what? I'm worth something. I'm of value. God loves me. And thirdly, I'm competent. I can do it. I can handle it, whatever it is. If you don't have those three feelings about yourself, emotions about yourself, you'll go through life suffering and hurting.
A person who's willing to just take it easy, do whatever comes natural, don't have any real goals in life, don't strive for anything. And I think part of the reason for that is that people are lazy. They want the easy way out. They don't believe that they can accomplish anything in life. They don't have a sense of purpose. They have no goals. They don't know how to set goals in their life. And what they do is they waste a great deal of their life because they have no sense of direction, and they just settle for whatever comes their way. And oftentimes thinking that they can't do any better and looking around whatever the people are doing and thinking, well, I'm as good as they are. And they miss life, settling for less than the best. Well, I think they don't really believe that they can achieve and accomplish. They look around and see what other people are doing, and they think, well, I'm as well off as they are. But that's not the issue. The issue is, what is the will of God for my life? What could I accomplish? What could I achieve if I really and truly set my mind to do it? And I think sometimes it's just pure laziness, that people don't have a sense of direction, but they don't want to do anything else. And it's a tragedy that a person can live out their life with gifts and skills and abilities and talents that God's given them and just settle for doing whatever comes natural. I think, number one, there's no progress in life. Not making any progress financially, in relationships, in your relationship to the Lord. Things are just sort of status quo, and you're sort of running around in circles and spending time and living from one weekend after to the other. And I think people who do that, they've settled for far less than God has intended for them.
We'll face times in life and situations and circumstances that it takes more than just the desire. It takes courage. Many people operate on the basis of fear, on the basis of what other people think. We as believers should operate on the basis of courage. Courage to say no when we ought to say no. Courage to say yes when we should say yes. So what kind of courage do you have? Is yours sort of floating between depending on the situation? Or do you know the difference between right and wrong for your life? And you've made up your mind. You have to decide right there what kind of life you're going to live, what kind of future you're going to have. As if you're wise, you'll make right decisions. Your mind is a control tower. So you have to decide how you're going to live your life and what you're going to see, what you're going to read, and what you're going to look at and so forth. Up in the control tower is truth. And the control tower is the right sense of direction. Control tower, you're evaluating things as they are, not as they appear to be. And the control tower is what you're thinking. There are consequences to sin. Whatever I do today, I'll reap tomorrow. In other words, you're going to be thinking right. Superabundantly, as he says, extravagantly. So if there is some particular area of your life in which you're having a real problem, ask yourself the question, where did that come from? It didn't come from this extravagantly awesome word of truth in my mind and heart. And if it doesn't fit that, it doesn't fit me. And remember this, you decide who you want to be. You decide what you want to accomplish. You decide how you want to live, all right here. You decide whether you want to be accepted or rejected. You make a lot of decisions in your life, all right here. And remember, right here's the battlefield in your life.